If you put an ancient human and a Neanderthal in an Ice Age arena, the Neanderthal would win every single time. They were evolution's battle tanks, massive bones, crushing strength, and extreme cold resistance. We were fragile, slow, and blind in the dark. By nature's brutal logic, we should have been the fossil, and them, the masters of the planet. But the battle tanks disappeared forever, and we survived.
And it is at this evolutionary moment that the most improbable twist in human history happens. They say it was an accident, that docile wolves approached our campfires looking for scraps, and out of pity, we let them stay. Forget what you've been told about the origin of dogs. That is a comforting lie. A cute narrative, but evolutionary biology reveals a much more brutal truth. We didn't adopt pets. We forged a survival technology. The Ice Age was not an environment that allowed for charity. You don't feed a 40-kilogram apex predator when you barely have enough calories to keep your own body warm. In that cold, every gram of fat was the difference between life and extinction. And yet, scientists discovered that in the most lethal environments on the planet, ancient humans were sacrificing their best meals to keep these animals alive. We didn't domesticate them with leftovers. There was a deliberate pact forged between humans and wolves. We didn't gain a best friend. We gained an ally in the fight for survival in extreme conditions. And the biological price we paid for this alliance rewrote our own species. The year is 7000 BC. The setting? Zhokhov Island in the isolated, freezing Russian Arctic. When archaeologists excavated the ice of this ancient human camp, the bones revealed a scene of pure desperation. The tribe was starving. Instinctive logic dictates that in a frozen wasteland, you must hoard every calorie just to keep your own heart beating. But the fossil record showed a bizarre anomaly. Even as ancient humans starved to death, they were feeding their dogs the absolute best meat available: polar bears and reindeer. We sacrificed our own food to keep the dogs strong. Why? Because the dog was the most advanced survival technology of the Ice Age, a biological engine. Without their speed on the sleds and their noses on the hunt, the entire tribe would freeze in the dark. It wasn't charity, it was a partnership. It was the first time in Earth's history that one species realized the hunger of another was more important than its own. Canine loyalty was bought with sacrifice. But while dogs changed our ability to travel and hunt, we were silently rewriting the hardware of their brains. The pact was sealed by cold and starvation, but biology demands adaptation. To live alongside a species as unstable and violent as humans, the predator had to change. And the shift wasn't just behavioral, it was a genetic hack. Science calls this domestication syndrome. As ancient humans began to select and tolerate only the most docile wolves, the bodies of these animals began to break their own evolutionary rules. The chemistry of fear changed. Ears flopped, snouts shrank, teeth reduced in size. But the most terrifying mutation wasn't physical. It happened silently inside the skull. The dog's brain developed neural networks dedicated exclusively to reading and decoding human language. If you place a chimpanzee, our closest biological relative, in front of you and point to a hidden piece of food, the chimp will look at your finger. It cannot grasp the invisible intention behind the gesture. Place a 6-week-old puppy in the exact same situation, and it will look exactly where you are pointing. No other animal on Earth reads human intention like they do. We didn't domesticate them. We integrated them. They became a physical extension of our own nervous system. And with our senses now amplified by this new living technology,
ancient humans were about to unlock a hidden chemical advantage, the true weapon that would wipe the Neanderthals off the map.
Oxytocin. It is the hormone designed by nature to create the unbreakable bond between a mother and her baby. But at some point in evolutionary history, eye contact between humans and dogs began to hack this system. When an ancient human looked into the eyes of their dog, both of their brains were flooded with this hormone. Stress plummeted, trust skyrocketed. We became, chemically, a single pack. And that is exactly what sealed the fate of the Neanderthals. Remember, Neanderthals were the battle tanks, but they lived in small, isolated groups. They relied solely on brute force and close-quarters combat. Living in the Ice Age was a state of perpetual panic. Sleeping in pitch-black darkness, surrounded by giant predators, keeps the brain flooded with cortisol, the chronic stress hormone. The Neanderthals slept with one eye open. They lived exhausted and died early. Meanwhile, ancient humans operated with a biological radar system. They developed what is called the first interspecies logistical network on the planet. With the night patrol of dogs, for the first time in history, the human brain could relax at night. Cortisol plummeted. The immune system grew stronger. We woke up rested and ready to innovate. The result? We stopped dying young. Our camps became impenetrable fortresses at night. The alliance between humans and dogs allowed our ancestors to unite in increasingly larger tribes, coordinated by this four-legged alarm and hunting technology. This was the beginning of the end for the Neanderthals. The Ice Age battle tanks weren't defeated by bigger brains. They were wiped off the map because they tried to survive alone. We won the world because in some ancient camp, there was a first link between a human and a wolf. We transformed a wild animal into technology. We realized the wolf supplied what we lacked. It was our cortisol shield and advanced radar. But biology has a relentless sense of irony. Millennia of evolution transformed our initial pact. And the final proof of this isn't military, it is emotional. If dogs were just tools, this pact would have ended the moment we invented agriculture and built walls. But something deeper happened. In northern Israel, there is an archaeological site called Ain Mallaha, where excavators found a 12,000-year-old tomb. Inside, the skeleton of an elderly human. But what shocked the scientific world wasn't the human body, it was his hand. The dead man's hand had been intentionally positioned, with absolute care, resting on the head of a 4-month-old puppy. Now think, you don't bury a hunting spear with affection. You don't embrace a military tool on your deathbed to take into the spiritual world. The gesture of that hand over a predator transcends biology. In this silent tomb, science found the definitive proof. The line had been crossed. The dog was no longer just a survival utility. It had invaded the core of our own identity. It is the first and only time in the history of life on Earth that two apex predators decided they would rather face the dark together. We overcame the Ice Age because we were able to love our greatest competitor. And today, when you look at that dog sleeping on your rug, it's living proof of the success of that ancestral alliance.